next speaker is someone I met for the first time outside QE2 before the Chilcot report was released, and he spoke passionately about his time in Iraq as a veteran. It's Griffin from Veterans for Peace.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know, Veterans for Peace is an ex-services organisation of men and women, and collectively we've served in every single war since the Second World War, including the Second World War. One of our eldest members was at D-Day. And we've come to the view that war is not the solution to the problems that we face globally in the 21st century. But we have a problem in this country, a big problem. And it's much bigger than the war in Iraq, much bigger than the war in Afghanistan, the war in Libya, the war in Syria, the war ongoing in Yemen. And that problem is that Britain, for 1,000 years, has been a highly aggressive military state.
But I want to be able to turn it on if it's me.
I usually put up a slide at this point, and it shows a map of the world. And on that map, it's all coloured pink. And the reason for that is over the last 1,000 years, military forces from these islands have invaded every single country in the world, bar 22. Think about that. And some of those 22 are the Vatican. Some of those countries we've invaded on multiple occasions. And if we look at the current state of play within this military state that we live in, we're one of just 9 nuclear-armed countries. We're one of the top arms exporters in the world. We're second only to the United States in terms of the number of lethal drone strikes that have been conducted since the invention of weaponised drones. We're one of just 19 countries that continues to recruit children into our armed forces. I checked this out the other day because I couldn't believe it. On the Army website, they claim that there are military personnel from the United Kingdom in 80 countries around the world. 80. We also have permanent bases in 14 countries and overseas territories. And despite what our politicians might say about Britain punching above our weight and how we're this great power, we are also an occupied country. There are 6 permanent US bases on our soil. The United States uses us as a staging post for their hyper-aggressive military strategy, and we enable them. We've just seen from the government, and it's not just the Tories, the Labour government before them were up to this too, we are militarising our youth. There are army engagement teams that hang around places where young people hang around, fairs and country fairs and all sorts of places like that, preying on our children. They go into schools and prey on our children. And now they want army cadet units in our schools to again prey on our children, to sign them up for the war system. In my view, the war system consists of every institution and every individual that thinks it's acceptable to prepare and go to war to further status, power and wealth. That is the extent of it in this country. And it's not just the arms companies, it's not just the politicians and the generals, it goes to the man on the street. The man on the street who reads a jingoistic newspaper and gets some sort of sense of reflected glory in the knowledge that our troops are invading and occupying countries elsewhere. And so this is a big challenge in front of us. a big challenge to counter this war system. Because this war system predates feudalism, it predates capitalism and socialism. And it's my view that these ideologies, these economic systems, are just functions of the war system. And what has happened in this country is that over the years we've replaced economic systems, but we still have the war system sitting on top of them. And despite what our political parties might say, despite their best intentions, we can vote in Labour, we can vote in the Greens, and vote in the SNP, Plaid Cymru. They will still be underneath and subservient to that war system that controls this country. So what are we going to do about it? We need to campaign. We need to campaign, we need to get together. And we need to challenge the engagement that the military has with our children. We need to challenge when the military come into our schools, challenge the setting up of Army Cadet Force units where our children are indoctrinated into their system. We need to stop Trident. And it's not just about Trident, it's about the nuclear power stations. People think of these nuclear power stations as if they are for electricity generation. But under the war system, the primary function of these nuclear power stations is to produce fissile material for our nuclear weapons. That is what they are about. The electricity they produce is a byproduct that is then sold to us to pay back some of the costs of producing the fissile material. That is how we should view the power stations. We can't be against Trident if we're not challenging the factories that are producing the material for Trident. We also need to shut down the arms fair in London. Think of all the wars that we enable through the sales of arms that go on during that biennial event. And this is possible. Activists who were arrested in 2015 were found not guilty when they disrupted the arms fair, because the judge decided that it was reasonable to believe that weapons were being sold to regimes who would use those weapons to attack civilians and torture people. So it is possible. We need to get thousands of people down to the arms fair in 2017 and shut that thing down. A bigger campaign to boycott the war system. We need to identify where the war system is, who's involved, and we need to challenge it on a daily basis. We need to build a movement that says no to this system, that refuses to participate, refuses to pay for it, refuses to cheer it on. And we need to start winning that now. So I'd just like to finish by stating this into a bit more concise, and that is to remember that the United Kingdom is a prime driver of war in the world. Veterans for Peace say that war is not the solution to the problems of the 21st century. There are other ways of dealing with the problems of climate change and poverty and migration. We need to reject militarism, demand nuclear disarmament, abandon the arms trade, expel foreign forces from the United Kingdom. We need to close all UK foreign bases and bring our military forces back to these islands. We must liberate this country, the people and the resources from this war system. Thank you.